Been widespread reaction to a decision by the High Court in Johannesburg confirming the rights of all pregnant women and all children under the age of 6 to receive access to free healthcare, regardless of whether they're South African or not. We're joined now by Muchengeti Hwacha of the Asylum Seeker, Refugee and Migrant Coalition. Muchengeti, good afternoon to you. Does this mean then that pregnant women and children under the age of 6 receive treatment for free at a state hospital, no matter where they're from and no matter whether they have documents or not?
That's correct, Stephen. Our constitution guarantees the right to healthcare for everyone, and special emphasis on pregnant lactating women and children under 6 is emphasized in the Healthcare Act. So that the High Court has confirmed that everybody, regardless of your documentation status, has the right to healthcare at state facilities, as long as you fall into those categories.
This has always been the law. As I understand it, some hospitals, I understand Gauteng hospitals, were demanding money up front. There's several cases where people, in fact, died because they didn't get medical treatment. Were they then breaking the law? It's that simple. They were breaking the law?
Indeed, Stephen, it's very disappointing that the government must be reminded of its own obligations. So they were essentially breaking the law with this policy that was implemented in 2020 by the Gauteng Department of Health. They were acting contrary to the Constitution, acting contrary to the Healthcare Act, and I think just generally acting contrary to general morality.
They would have had to account for the money they received. So there would be accounting records every time they received a payment. So there would be an accounting record which was being then recorded illegally. I mean, unless the money wasn't being declared somehow, if it was being paid in cash, I suppose. But the point is that, I mean, all of this was breaking the law. So it would be possible to show how many counts. There would actually be accounting evidence of the law being broken.
Yes, definitely. I'm sure that all of these payments that were made to the various hospitals was receipted. And if someone does engage in that research, they could probably track how much was paid, by whom, to which institutions. So I think you're hitting the nail on the head that the state was just acting contrary to its obligations, and it's very disappointing to see.
Did other provinces do the same thing?
I don't have information on that. However, as you saw with the incident with the Limpopo Health MEC in that area, there is a general attitude, we think, within the healthcare system that looks to exclude people who are migrants. And so this may have been pervasive in other provinces, but we're very glad that we have caught it in the bud in Gauteng, and I'm sure other provinces are taking note.
Muchengeti, this issue leads to a response in our society, and I'm sure you've seen, I'm sure you've actually probably felt this response, that there are relatively high levels of xenophobia. There are lots of reasons why this is happening, but the argument essentially would go, I mean, let me put it another way. Can you understand why many South Africans will hear a judgment like this and feel frustrated that foreign nationals are getting treated in South African hospitals? They will feel frustrated. How do you feel about that? I mean, do you understand that sense? Prejudice is wrong, sure, but do you understand how some people may feel about this?
I think it's definitely an understandable argument that South Africa's healthcare system is labored under limited resources. But I think the focus really should be on the broader issues of management or mismanagement thereof, corruption, etc. Those are really where the issues in our healthcare system lie. And to blame migrants is really scapegoating. They can't be said to be the ones who are causing the significant strain on the healthcare system as alleged.
Well, I mean, former health minister Dr. Motsoaledi has claimed many times in public that a major part of the strain is foreign nationals. You dispute what he says. I mean, there's a huge argument about the numbers here, Muchengeti, as you know.
I think someone needs to do a deep dive into the actual literature and get a fuller picture of what exactly is going on here. Otherwise, we're just relying on anecdotal evidence from both the state and, for example, the minister, as you said. The research that we've encountered speaks to those issues of corruption and mismanagement being the real issues with our healthcare system. And I state again, migrants really are just scapegoats.
Muchengeti, the next problem is going to be enforcement. And there are going to be people who are incredibly vulnerable. They will be here perhaps illegally. They will have a sick child. It's very easy to extract cash from someone in that position.
Yes, indeed. Part of the judgment requires there to be posters put up to inform people of their rights. The order rather, also requires the respondents to report back to the court on the progress made in this regard. So I think the court has taken cognizance of that issue of enforceability and has taken measures to address it.
Muchengeti Hwacha, thank you. Executive Director at the Asylum Seeker, Refugee and Migrant Coalition.